Well, hello, my name is Amy Armstrong, and today I am joined by Paige Hornback, recent graduate of the RCP Institute. Paige is going to share her experience with the RCP and the course to become a consultant. So welcome, Paige.
Thanks, Amy. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, lovely to have you here to tell us about yourself and also tell us about your journey of how you came to find the RCP.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So I guess kick us off, Paige, with telling us a little bit about yourself and share your journey to prior to the RCP and a bit about your own health and how you came to actually stumble across the root cause protocol.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So again, my name's Paige, and let's see. If I were to go way back, I'd look at lots of health issues growing up. I kind of remember my mom always being like, "This kid is always sick," and so I had a lot of stuff growing up, but I didn't really put any pieces together. It wasn't any kind of diagnosis or anything. I just was sick a lot, and then going into college, I sort of got into a groove. I was really happy. There's lots of good things going on. I got married and ended up, becoming pregnant around 26 years old. So it's a little bit, I don't know. I don't know if I was older or younger for being pregnant for the first time, but I started noticing my energy start to really dip around that time. And then had a fairly traumatizing birth. And after that, just couldn't quite like recover. So I did have a C-section. It was pretty intense recovery. And so I just kind of kept chalking it up to like, oh, I don't feel good because I was pregnant, or I'm recovering from the surgery still. And that went on for a while until I finally talked to my doctor about it. And they were like, oh, well, you're getting older, you're getting close to 30. So that's just normal. You should just kind of expect that you're going to be tired and you have a child now to chase around. And so they sort of dismissed it pretty frequently. And if anything, I was told to take more iron and that should help with my energy levels. And that was pretty much the only advice that I got. So I sort of felt like that wasn't what I needed. And I was sort of on this quest of self-discovery, trying to figure out what I needed to do. And, my background is in health and exercise science. I have a bachelor's degree in health and wellness, and I thought I should be able to figure this out myself. And I think I prolonged putting off trying to get some help until I really figured like I cannot keep going like this. So that's what made me dive into kind of the world of natural health, and I got some diagnoses for what was actually going on, which continued to lead me towards the RCP. So it was very gradual process for me finding the RCP.
Yeah. And as much as you're willing to share, can you just tell us about your diagnosis and what are some of the symptoms you were experiencing around that time?
Sure. Yeah. It was the list of symptoms just kept growing as the years went on, but it started out with fatigue. And then it moved into chronic joint pain, chronic muscle pain, being winded just walking up the stairs, super low energy, very high amounts of brain fog, and really bad insomnia. In addition to that, I had severe digestive issues and like a lot of pain, like actual abdominal pain. You can like press. And at one point, I went to a lymph seminar where I was learning about the lymph system for my clients, of course, who I was treating at that time for chronic pain, which is just really funny because I had chronic pain, but I kind of thought the more I learn, the more I'm going to be able to help myself. And so I'm treating people with chronic pain while I still have chronic pain. And I was at a big lymph seminar and I was able to be pulled down as like a demo person for the teacher, Dr. Perry Nicholson. If anyone is interested in lymph stuff, he's amazing. But he was doing all my lymph points, like pressing on them, and he's like, "You're really sick. Like there's something going on." Like all my lymph was very like just on fire, very swollen. So that was like very reassuring to me. I'm like, okay, something's up and I need to keep going. So my first naturopath that I saw, he found in my blood work, he found Lyme disease, which was a big one,
Mm,
and he found Epstein-Barr virus. So those are the two that he found. And then he kind of gave me a choice of either going on antibiotic or doing an herbal protocol. He said, you can expect to take about 5 years for your system to sort of get you over this Lyme disease,
mm,
hump basically. So 5 years to healing, which seemed like so long to me at the time. I thought, how am I gonna stay in this for five
yeah.
more years? So we went on that protocol. I saw limited results. And then I kept looking. And so the second naturopath I found discovered mold poisoning, like mold toxicity. So that was really big. So any one of those things can be really detrimental to someone's health. But
Mhm.
I had all three, which is super common now. I'm learning that if you have one, it's very likely that you could have another or it's affecting. Um, and so I just sort of knew I had a lot that I was up against, and I needed to be super diligent to work towards getting better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as we discussed a little bit off camera, you were talking about having some success through these approaches, but really the focus at that time was still on, killing the pathogen, on attacking the host rather than strengthening the host, which is what, the root cause protocol aims to do.
Definitely. Yeah. They had a little bit of strengthening in the host, but really what that was like, a vitamin protocol, which a lot of the vitamins they put me on are actually stops on the RCP. So I found that really interesting. They were trying to strengthen the host, but really the main protocol was attacking the guest, so to speak, and really killing the pathogens, which
Mm,
I believe that's why I had just a limited set of progress, because we just really weren't attacking it in the right manner. And I think if I had found the RCP earlier, I would have had probably a little bit speedier of a recovery, because I think I was just doing things backwards, essentially.
yeah. Yeah. And we really need to energize our bodies before we can think about, subjecting them to, that attack of trying to actually detox and clear these things out, don't we?
Definitely.
So you were having little bits of success with your naturopath or naturopaths. How did you stumble across the RCP, and what did that protocol look like for you? And tell us about some results that you've had using the RCP.
Sure. So, okay. So I feel like that was a couple of different things. I'll try and
It was a
make sure
lot. Tell
I
us how
hit
you
them all.
stumbled upon the RCP.
Yeah, how I stumbled upon the RCP was my determination that I did not have all the pieces still. And I really couldn't, even though I was also having a success both with my naturopath, and then at that time I had also decided to become a nutrition therapy practitioner, because when I was working on people as a body worker, so I was telling you that I had started building a career helping people who were in chronic pain. So I could tell that whenever I touched someone who was in chronic pain, they had massive inflammation, systemic inflammation that was all over their body. And the one thing that when I talked to my clients, that sort of was the common thread, was that their diet was all over the place, and they knew that they had allergies, but they didn't really want to address them and things like that. So I thought to myself, I need to figure out where this sort of systemic inflammation is coming from. So in my mind, I'm thinking nutrition makes a lot of sense. So let me start there. So I went and became a nutrition therapy practitioner, which was a really wonderful program. And it got me started on all the foundations. But when I graduated from that program, I still had this feeling like something wasn't fully there, like I was still missing something. And so I stumbled upon Morley through some podcasts that I was listening to, because I'm just a voracious like podcast, and reader. And so I think, like a lot of my clients, I found it finding Morley through podcasts. And so I started just devouring all of the different versions of podcasts I could find him on. And then I picked up his book on Amazon, The Cure, the Copper Cure book. And then I read that. That was a really pretty meaty book. It has a lot of information. So I took my time going through that. And then at the same time, I was on the website and then downloaded their free workbook, which was really helpful because it's so simple. I mean, anyone can go onto the website and download that workbook and basically the handbook, basically get started for free. And he just breaks it down into very actionable steps. So that's kind of how I found the RCP.
And at that point, did you work with anyone on the RCP, or you just, with your own knowledge and drive, just tackle it on your own?
Yeah, I started working through it on my own. And because it was so simple in that, handbook that they have online, and I had the book itself, I felt like he gave me enough information to get started. And I really wanted to I knew I was going to have to work with a practitioner for a fairly decent amount of time. And so in my mind, I was feeling like I'd rather go ahead and get the certification myself and do a deep dive on all the information so that I could bring it to my clients when I'm done. So I didn't really work with a one-on-one practitioner. I just thought, I'll let Morley be my practitioner. For now.
So what results did you start seeing? What did you notice in your health as you started to implement, the many steps and phases of the protocol?
Yeah, so like we talked about before, I didn't have this amazing, immediate, sort of anything amazing happen right away, but it was a very steady progression towards just a more stable energy level for myself. And I was sleeping better. That was really one of the first things I noticed was my sleep was starting to get, I was able to fall asleep faster. I was able to stay asleep longer, and I was getting into a deeper sleep. So when I was struggling with insomnia, I had all three problems where I couldn't fall asleep. It would take me 2 hours to fall asleep easily. I was a very light sleeper, so any sound whatsoever would wake me up, and then I couldn't go back to sleep. So all three of those things meant I just wasn't sleeping. So when I started implementing the RCP, I think specifically the magnesium started helping me sleep almost immediately. I was getting better, deeper sleep. So then the energy, and then I started realizing one day I get out of bed and my feet didn't hurt and my body didn't hurt anymore. So now I look back and it's like a distant memory. My chronic pain, I don't have that anymore. And my digestive issues, I don't have that anymore. I have, a few lingering symptoms that I'm still working on, but it is like night and day difference. And I've only been doing the RCP. I mean, I would say 18 months ago is when I discovered the RCP. So in relative time, it hasn't been that long.
Yeah. And often it's in hindsight, isn't it, that we start to think, wait a minute, my feet aren't sore anymore, or, symptom XYZ has started to disappear. So for many people like yourself, it's not this, profound moment where symptoms clear and we start to feel fabulous. It's just really slowly we notice that, we start to just overall feel better. And for many it's the sleep starts to improve, which when you're getting, restorative sleep, I mean, that hides a multitude of sins, doesn't it? Because without it, it's one of those pillars that we need to be in place to be able to heal. And for others, it's just noticing that they've got more energy. And I'm sure you're experiencing, these sort of noticings with your own clients as well, that it's a really important message that it's it can be a slow journey back to health.
Yeah, definitely. And even though I say that Morley has lined everything up to be really simple, that doesn't mean that it's simple to do over and over and over again. So it's a consistency thing that we're learning every day how to do the RCP a little bit better with life mixed in, right? So life's always going to be there,
Yeah.
and we have to kind of figure out how to do the RCP in the midst of that. And so that's actually kind of fun now. In the beginning, it might feel a little bit like a lot to learn, but once you get the hang of it, it's not that bad. And the results just outweigh any of the, hardness of trying to learn something new.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess it's for a lot of people, it's building that skill over time to actually listen to your own body, to work out how to manage the RCP for you. Because as Morley has said many times, it's not a recipe to be followed to a T.
Right.
It's more of a guide. So, and I found working with a practitioner back at the start of my journey really helped me to learn to listen to my own body and stop relying on my practitioner to tell me how much and when and what time.
Yeah, I see that in my clients too. I see them learning those lessons of as much as I enjoy putting together a protocol that helps them get there. It's so much about them learning their own body's cues and learning to tell that when they're needing rest, that they should take that rest. And I think that's been a big one for me, is learning to read my body's like stress triggers and being able to know exactly what triggers me to kind of have a heightened sense of stress, and how to then, what are the things that I know to do that help me alleviate stress. And it's sort of kind of like helping me to create new habits with sort of a set list. It's sort of a recipe that I use for myself. Even though, RCP isn't a recipe, I know I can go back to these 3 or 4 things that I always enjoy that help me to reduce stress.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think outside of the supplementation, we talk a lot in our community about other ways to bring your body out of stress, and things like EFT is the main one that's normally suggested to try, although there's many other modalities as well. Did you delve into, some emotional healing in that regard?
I was already working with an actual like like a therapist. Um, and so I actually got so much out of my therapist that I was working on that I didn't really feel like I needed to dive into EFT. But I do know a lot of people that have had a lot of success with it. I've done it for myself, but I haven't worked with a practitioner yet. So I think maybe one day that would be something that would be really neat to try and figure out if that might be something that would fit for me. So it's interesting too, Amy, because I feel like some people, you have to find the right program for the right person. So some people might try EFT and go like, that just wasn't a fit for me, even though Morley loves it. There's lots of people that they're not going to find that connects with them. And so trying to find different, it's been an interesting journey trying to find different things for people that will help them reduce their stress and sort of like those internal triggers.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as the saying goes, there's many ways to skin a cat, and there are so many modalities and different ways that you can help to bring your internal stress levels down while supporting your body with the supplementation part of the RCP. So they kind of work together hand in hand.
Yeah.
So tell us now about your experience at the Institute and formalizing your knowledge there around the RCP. How was your experience? Share with us, what you got out of that.
Yeah, so I guess my first experience was with Morley himself, because I was able to talk to Morley for about an hour or 2 hours before I signed up as an RCP consultant. And he was helping me with my sister's health. Actually, I called a random RCP number that I found on his Facebook page. It said, call me if you have questions about health. And I thought, there's no way he's going to answer. Well, he did. He
Yeah.
answered the phone and I couldn't believe it. And he talked to me for an hour about my sister's health. And then he told me, have your sister call back and we'll do, like a group call and we'll talk with her about her health. And he talked to her for an hour for free. I mean, he's very generous with his time.
Mm.
He really cares about people. So that was my first introduction really to Morley and the RCP. I really enjoyed the group. It was good for me as a mom to be able to self-pace myself. So that course is really flexible. I mean, it's a lot. It's deeper than my nutrition therapy course that I was in for quite some time. I mean, the information just is very in depth. So I really enjoyed that. I'm just that type of person that loves to kind of dive in and get all the details. So that was fun. And I think, and then we got to go to dinner with Morley. Actually, he was in Denver a couple weeks ago and I got to meet him in person. And that was kind of a full circle special moment. But it's been kind of interesting too, because Morley, you don't want to put people on a pedestal. And I think that's important too, because you sort of, the RCP and Morley kind of get mushed together, the program and Morley himself. And I like the fact that Morley's pretty, even though he knows his stuff, but he's also humble at the same time. And he's like, I don't know everything. And so being really able to use a lot of my past knowledge and sort of seeing where they intersect with the RCP is what I really enjoy. Bringing it into like more of a holistic picture has been kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess touching on that point where, you say being a mom and being, a busy person in your own business, it was great to have access to the course to really self-pace outside of the tutorials and, Morley's lectures, for want of a better word. All the information is housed on the website, where you have access to it whenever you like. For as long as you like. And I think even now to this day, I went through the RCP Institute, not that it was called that back then, but for the first time, I'm not even sure what year it was, maybe 18. And I know that I still, go into the website now and go into the classes that I was part of to access the information, because it still has so much relevance, particularly when I'm working with clients and I'm trying to find information about certain things. I can go in and access my course or courses, because I've done it 3 times through the website.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a really good point to make if you're considering going through the Institute. Is there's so much information there, and in some ways it can lead you down so many rabbit holes, and there's more reading than you can possibly want or need housed on that site. So that's a good point to make, I think, from a particularly if you don't make the lives. Everything's recorded and it's all there for you. And working with a worldwide audience, and people all over the world do the RCP course. The times aren't always going to suit everybody for every live session together with Morley, but it's all there for you to access when you can. And then you can ask questions in your tutorials, based on what you learn from those lives. How did you find the tutorials?
I thought they were really helpful, and I liked how they had, really thought about the students and the fact that we need lots of layers. So because at when you first learn something, you're just picking up sort of that superficial information. And then they have different, series of, tutorials and things that kind of help you go deeper and ask questions and things like that. So I do feel like they really thought it through for the students. And then you have different types of reading material. You have audio material that you can listen to while you're walking. That I used to do that a lot. I would walk and listen to the same lesson multiple times, because every single time I'd understand it at a little bit of a deeper level, or I'd pick up on something that I didn't hear the first time. So that was really nice.
Yeah. So how have you been able to integrate, the coursework and the RCP into your existing business that you had already seen clients in the health and wellness space? How is that looking for you now using the RCP?
Yeah, so I sort of transitioned out of doing physical care with people, being a body worker. I transitioned out of that into full-time nutrition. And so I consider myself more of a holistic practitioner because I do bring in quite a bit of other knowledge. So if I have a client with chronic pain stuff, I'm not just going to give them nutrition. I'm going to give them a lot of structural information to how to address the structural body.
Mm.
So right now I'm seeing one-on-one clients virtually, unless they're local, and then I'll see them in person, but lots of virtual one-on-ones. And then I'm transitioning, trying to transition soon into doing some group programming. And I have an opportunity to possibly build a group program for hemochromatosis people and people with that diagnosis. So I think that's going to be really interesting next year, trying to put that together. So that'll be a virtual group with a newsletter attached to it. And then I'm also in the process of building a monthly email newsletter group. So that's probably going to happen about every other week. They'll get a newsletter, and it's basically going to be lots of holistic tips. It's going to be called My Holistic Family, and it's going to be basically talking about all the holistic stuff that I'm doing with my family, my kids. My husband is a competitive triathlete, so we've got the athletic stuff going on too. And yeah, just kind of a well-rounded source of information for people.
Yeah, that's great. So tell us, you do see clients face to face. Where are you in the world for people who are watching the video?
Yeah. So I am on, you can find me on the so it's heal.me/page is basically a really short way to find me. And on there, it'll discuss all of the different opportunities to work with me, including a free 15-minute call. So heal.me/PAIGE. And then I think I'll be able to put on there the link if people are interested in signing up for the newsletter as well. So I'm going to try and work on that. And then I'm on Instagram as well at Paige Marie Wellness.
Yeah, great. And I'll pop all of those details in the video notes for people who are watching and would like to reach out to you, Paige. I guess just to wrap us up, in a few sentences, tell us how the RCP has changed your life.
Yeah, so the RCP has changed my life in that I feel like I just feel more like myself now. And when I was really sick, I kind of just compared myself to just felt like I'm just a shell of myself. So I just feel like I'm kind of a walking zombie some days, a lot of days. And now I feel more like I'm me, and I have energy, and I can be with my kids like in the fullness of who I am, and I don't have that brain fog getting in the way of things, and I don't have that chronic pain to worry about or that chronic fatigue anymore. So I really genuinely feel like all of my health journey and the RCP has brought me back to myself in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and what a great description. I guess that's what we're aiming for, isn't it? To have people just feeling like their vital, healthy selves at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I
Hey,
think that's ultimately why I wanted to start working one-on-one with people for the RCPs, because I feel like when we feel like ourselves, we're better moms, wives, husbands, brothers, better community members. Like we just feel more productive and happy. So
absolutely. And better practitioners to be able to help others as well.
yes, definitely.
Yeah. Paige, thank you so much for sharing your journey. I'm sure there'll be many who watch this video who really take a lot away from your experience, and hopefully it will encourage people to, just give it a go. Like you said, there's the free handbook on the website. All the information there is free. And that's not even to mention the iron toxicity posts and all the other writings that Morley has done over the years that are also housed on the website for you to access, and there's enough reading to keep you going there for a couple of years. So yeah, I will put the links for the handbook and for the website into the video notes as well for people to be able to access that. But thank you again for sharing your journey with us.
Thanks, Amy. I really appreciate you having me on.